Wait, no, there's someone in your back seat. No, it's not someone, it's something. It's logic. Not the rapper Logic, but the concept of logic. And this movie basically takes the concept of logic, hucks it out the goddamn window like a used condom wrapper you would find in your back seat or in the back seat of your parents' car, which probably if it's a broken condom, that's how you got here. Congratulations, folks. Have fun unseeing that. You were an accident in the back seat. Anyway, I'm John Rant with the retro review of Urban Legend from 1998. They somehow got 3 movies out of this simple concept, this bullshit concept that, oh boy, watching this with fresh eyes, you kind of wonder how the fuck did this movie even get filmed? I mean, it had a bunch of pretty people and people that were hot at the time, as far as acting and everything, and people that were well known. But good fucking grief. Scream really caused a groundswell of, slasher clones that were good, bad, and indifferent. I did just retro review I Know What You Did Last Summer. Check that out if you haven't already. And yes, full disclosure for the longtime viewers / subscribers of the channel, I did do compilation editions of Final Destination, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend. I took all the movies, Human Centipede, them together and basically did short reviews. Now I want to do fleshed out reviews and for a slasher genre that actually makes sense. Let's flesh it out, rip it apart, and let's rip this fucking movie apart because good fucking grief, this is even worse than I remember. And I just watched this a couple years ago. Now, it's not the absolute worst goddamn thing in the world, but considering the cast and considering the fact that, well, the movie is directed by a fucking inept idiot. It's directed by Jamie Blanks, who did Valentine a few years later. And if you've seen Valentine, I'm sorry, it was fucking rubbish. It was also written by somebody named Silvio Herta, who did Urban Legend Final Cut and also some episodes of Ugly Betty. And rest in peace, Silvio. He passed away a couple years ago. The writing's not very good, but that does not mean that the guy was bad. Sometimes you just get stuck writing for really, really bad movies and television. Though Ugly Betty wasn't that bad. This isn't about Ugly Betty. It's about a bunch of pretty people that really, really try to act. They really try to act. I'm going to go over the cast. Jared Leto, being as creepy and as bad acting as he's ever been. I don't understand how that man has had a fucking career. Alicia Witt, who is fucking gorgeous here and is fucking gorgeous now. Good fucking God, she's ageless. Rebecca Gayheart, a few years before she decided to say, hey, I'm going to run somebody over like an idiot. Maybe if your hair wasn't the size of a small planet, you wouldn't have done that. Michael Rosenbaum with hair, and if you know anything about Smallville, besides one of the actors ending up being part of a sex cult, no, really, Michael Rosenbaum was Lex Luthor Clark. So seeing him with hair is just fucking wild. Loretta Devine, who's a really good character actor and definitely was better than this movie. Joshua Jackson, fresh off of Dawson's Creek, which was still going at this point, because I don't want to wait for that series to be over. I actually watched the first 2 seasons of Dawson's Creek and said, okay, Dawson and Joey got together. That's enough. I'm done. And given what I was told by my sister and also other people that kept up with the series, I go, you picked the right time to stop watching. You had to find out via word of mouth because the internet wasn't exactly exploding in popularity in the 90s. It was kind of in its infancy. I'll talk more about that here. But in addition to all those people, what do you mean, those people? Tara Reid, who sounds like a blonde ex that I knew. She sounded like she was stuffed up or whatever, because what do you call a blonde with a runny nose? Full. That'll get me hate. Robert Englund, yes. Freddy Krueger himself. Danielle Harris, who I'm convinced is ageless because I looked at her here. I remember seeing her in the Rob Zombie Halloween movie, and I remember seeing her in Camp Coldbrook, and she looks exactly the same. For clarity, this was 98. She was about 21? She's about 20, 21. She was almost 30 when the Rob Zombie Halloween movie came out, and then she was just past 40 when Camp Coldbrook came out. So nevertheless, I'm convinced she's an immortal. And also, John Neville, he was in this. He was in this as a dean, and he's a pretty good actor. I understand how they got Robert Englund in it because he can really make any role work. And this movie basically centers around, wait for it, a bunch of urban legends that factor into a murder plot. I know. In a movie called Urban Legend. How fucking weird. So a bunch of students have to figure out what the fuck's going on. And the first thing we start off with is with a girl that we find out is named Michelle, who can't pay attention to her own gas gauge. She's driving somewhere in the Northeast. It's actually filmed in Ontario because tax breaks for filming in Canada, at least back then, don't know about now. But she's listening to Total Eclipse of the Heart. Turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. And I need you now, tonight. And I need a better script than ever. But anyway, let's just stop that. She forgets to get gas, and then she pulls off at this goddamn gas station with an attendant. It doesn't look like you should allow them within 50 feet of your children. Never trust anybody that works at a gas station. Hey, wait a minute. Moving on from that, the guy did seem kind of creepy, but he knows something. He's like, okay, I'll take your credit card and I'll do this. And this place doesn't even look like he could spell credit card, nor would they be taking them. But it fills up with gas. The gas, by the way, $1.14 a gallon. I'm so glad the gas never increased after that. I kid. Of course, gas is out of control depending on the state you're in. Stop blaming the president for the rising gas prices, you fucking twats. So anyway, off my soapbox there, and for a 1998 retro review. She ends up escaping this, gas station attendant that she thinks is holding her hostage. No. Even though he's got a stutter, he's trying to help her. There's someone in your back seat. And then somebody in a parka that hits him with an axe. They were supposed to take place during the winter months, so that's why the parka was factored in. But then they were like, oh, we're filming in the spring. Wear the parka anyway. Let's just go with it. Nobody will notice the fact that it's not in the winter. Except everybody, like me, people that nitpick shit. And it was kind of funny. Shoved the axe through the goddamn window or whatever. Maybe you should have actually hit her with it. It was at this point that I realized with the sound effects, and the sound effects were apparently done by people that have no idea how weapons work, that it sounded like the weapons were being used to punch people. Not actually hit, not a squelch, just punch. You don't punch people with an axe. Trust me, I know. I will be taking no further questions on this. Tara Reid has a radio show, and everybody, it's a bunch of cliches and everything. There's some Stanley Hall massacre that happened 25 years ago, which is why that building is condemned, yet not torn down. Because the college needs more hush money to pay off when the professors sleep with the students. Or the students blackmail the professors. Or something happens. I don't know. Maybe that's where Vince McMahon got his idea from. Ha ha ha! Didn't think you were going to get a Vince McMahon reference in this, did you? So, Jared Leto is a newspaper writer. He plays a guy named Paul Gardner. He's not a gardener, though. Missed opportunity there. And what happens when you say Bloody Mary 3 times or 5 times? You get a third movie. No, really. The third urban legend movie that actually does exist is called Urban Legend Bloody Mary. God, I can't wait to revisit that. I really can't. As you can tell, I enjoy revisiting these movies. It's so much fun. This will, however, be the last time that I watch these movies, at least as far as reviewing them, because I can only take so much bullshit. And we get more jump scares and loud noises. And also, Danielle Harris plays a girl named Tosh, not a .0 fame. And she is a gothic girl that loves getting railed repeatedly by guys. I mean, that's pretty much her that's really her character. She can't turn on the light. Oh no, Natalie, don't turn on the light. That's Alicia Witt's character. And there you go. Robert Englund is a professor on urban legends. They must really have no good courses at this school. Nothing against Robert Englund, but really? Young women, mind your children. Or you will pay. Okay? Bit weird. You know, like the babysitter one and other stuff like that. Pop rocks and soda. I've done that before back when I drank soda. You know what it does? It can do one of two things. It can cause bubbling, or it can cause you to basically shit out everything you've ever eaten in your life, and you will be dehydrated and you will need 2 bottles of Gatorade. Now that you have that mental image in your head, drink some Pop Rocks and soda and see how you fucking feel. You goddamn idiots. So, they talk about the girl Michelle, that, Joshua Jackson says, I'm going to miss her. She gave great head. She was decapitated. I'm ashamed to admit that I laughed at that. So Stabbing Westward, Save Yourself is in this, but they couldn't save this movie or themselves. But I can't even save myself. You can't save yourself. Anybody who knows that song, please comment. So, It turns out that Joshua Jackson is a bit of a creep, at least in this movie. I actually don't think he really is. I don't know, though. And he's talking to Natalie, and kind of hits on her. That doesn't really work out all that well. And she says, well, what do you want, one black eye or two? It's your choice. Women are always saying that to me. I never even get that far before they punch me. And then he's taking a piss, and then he gets attacked by the killer, who's somehow out there. We don't know how the killer got out there. And so he's on the roof of the car, hung. Somehow Alicia Witt, you're this. She's literally in the car. I mean, I know that, goddamn, I mean, sometimes you cannot be aware of your surroundings. How the fuck do you not know that's happening? He's hanging on the roof, the rope's tied to the bumper, and every time she tries to get the car going, he gets hung and everything. Oh, no. Don't start the car. don't fire the torpedoes. Fire the torpedoes. They're firing generals at us. We will respond in kind. Not me, idiots, a torpedo. So, Reese, Loretta Devine's fan, or Loretta Devine's character, rather, is a Pam Grier fan. Pam Grier, by the way, who looks fan-fucking-tastic in her 70s. Where is Damon? Well, we don't really know where he is. That's Joshua Jackson's character. We get a research scene. And then we talk about the hook on the hand, because that's the stuff. And then the high beam initiation, where you drive around without your lights on, and somebody flashes their lights at you. You then chase them down. Because we were fucking idiots in the 90s, and the 80s, and the 70s, and the 60s. And you know what? We're not very smart now. Don't do that. You know, the early 90s or mid 90s tech was a bit dodgy here. The early chat rooms where Danielle Harris's character is talking to a goth guy. What room are you in? Wait, I'm going to go get ready. And then she comes back after getting ready, and the person says yours, and the person in the park attacks, and Natalie's like, okay, I won't turn on the light. While her friend's just getting murdered. But then again, she would have gotten murdered. And then we get to the morning, and she finds her body under the blanket. She opens it up. Oh my God, she's dead. And then blood on the wall. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light? Because every urban legend is going to be beaten into your fucking skull until you can't remember anything. Can't even remember what you had for breakfast. Your brain will turn to pudding. Like every other technical person who worked on this. Everybody that thought that this was a good goddamn movie, good lord. It's on Hulu, by the way. All three movies are if you get bored. So Natalie is upset. The college rules it as suicide. It wasn't suicide. It was murder. And it's the 25-year anniversary of the Stanley Hall Massacre. The janitor won't answer anything because creepy janitor. And the book of 1973 is missing for some reason. Why is that missing? Well, after a series of events, like sneaking into Professor Wexler, a.k.a. Robert Englund's office, Paul, Jared Leto's character, and Natalie, Alicia Witt's character, they are in trouble. It turns out Alicia Witt was involved in a reckless endangerment thing, but that information didn't come out until after she got accepted. And the dean says, that's good, because we usually don't accept criminals. And then Eminem busted in saying, I'm a criminal. I don't even think that song came out in 1998, so I'm just going to move on. So, it turns out that Wexler had something to do with the massacre. He was actually the only survivor. So anyway, they decide to have a party, because of course they fucking have a party. And Brenda's the killer, by the way. Brenda's obviously the killer, even though when you think about it, it really makes no logical sense. Natalie's panicking. She's friends with Brenda and explains that her and Michelle ended up playing a high beam initiation game, and she followed, but it was in Natalie's car, but Michelle caused this wreck. It turns out this person actually factors in a little bit later. The killer finds finds the dean in the garage and cuts his Achilles heel, and basically he falls down and then rolls the car over him and over the road spikes that are there that go down when you check out of the garage correctly. But danger, severe tire damage. Don't worry, severe damage is already happening with this goddamn movie. The Pop Rocks and Drano go in Michael Rosenbaum's mouth. We're just going to skip over everything here. By the way, I don't know why the dog needed to be put in the microwave. The old lady put her dog in the microwave to dry it because towels don't fucking exist. You torture an animal like that, fuck you. You deserve the worst fucking fate. You deserve the worst fucking fate. You deserve your children ripped away from you, all that. Don't abuse animals. But yeah, Pop Rocks and Drano, a bit weird that the killer just starts offing people like crazy. Then chases Tara Reid for about 50 fucking years because she has the radio show and whatever. It's so fucking hilarious. Meanwhile, Paul, Natalie, and Brenda escape in Paul's car. They smell something weird, and it turns out that there's a dead body in the trunk. It's Wexler, not Wessler. Or Albert Wexler. Oh God, it is Albert. Oh no, it's a guy from Resident Evil. And then what ends up happening is Natalie and Brenda take off. They get separated because you got to keep them separated. Hey. Paul's looking for her, and then the janitor, who's a total creep, ends up picking up Natalie, nicely taking her back to town. But he's a fucking creep. And then in Stanley Hall, there's just all this dilapidated stuff for whatever reason. There's a bunch of dead bodies. All the dead bodies are there. I have no idea how there are dead bodies there. By the way, the janitor ended up actually crashing his truck because the killer, who is Brenda, by the way, who got separated, got in another vehicle and ran him down. Are you following me so far? The movie sure as fuck ain't. But then, a few minutes later, she's back on campus. And she ends up in Stanley Hall because apparently that's the only building open. All these bodies are there. Everybody, Backstreet's back, all right. Boy, that was an old goddamn song. Like an old goddamn movie. And then Brenda basically is laying on all, dead and everything. Oh no, the killer must have done it. And then Brenda rises back on her feet and punches Natalie out, and then explains why I did it is because Michelle and you play that high beam game, and you killed my boyfriend. She even had slides to prove that. She had slides hooked up in this abandoned building that somehow had electricity. Or maybe it was battery powered. I don't really know, because at this point I don't think the movie fucking cared. and then Loretta Devine's character Reese shows up. She tries to arrest Rebecca Gayhart's character, who is chewing through concrete walls worth of scenery. It is astonishing she had any teeth left, because she was devouring this scenery like there was no goddamn tomorrow. Drywall like it was candy. It was fucking incredible. Such a 180 shift, and it really makes no sense, because you're thinking, how the fuck was she able to do all this stuff? And I mean, obviously she wasn't really the killer. Obviously it was a stunt double, it was a guy playing the killer and stuff, but whatever. But you're like, okay, she killed because of that. All right, that's enough of a good explanation, but it also doesn't make sense. How would she be able to keep killing these people and keep popping up in all these locations? It doesn't make any sense. And then she slashes Reese. Alicia Witt gets free to do what she wants, but then Paul shows up and says, I'm writing a newspaper. How about this? Brenda? How about we come up with all these ideas and everything? Let's help you cover up a crime. Like Rebecca Gayhart's vehicular homicide. Read up on that. If you don't run people over, accidental or otherwise, don't fucking do it. Stop, don't do this anymore. And she says, no, that's not going to work. If I can't have you, no one can, because she's liked him this whole time. And then Natalie shoots her. Reese shoots her first, and then Natalie shoots her. And she goes out the window, Halloween style. And then Reese they managed to call it in, so Reese is going to be fine, bleeding out, by the way, because she got slashed and shot. So she's fine, totally fine. Paul and Natalie leave in the SUV. Okay, fine, whatever. They leave in truck. They're trying to get away. They're going to fly away. Yeah. And then says, well, this is urban legend. When does the twist come? Surprise! Brenda's somehow in the back despite being fucking shot twice. And then she's trying to punch people with the axe again. That's where she had punched Tara Reid with the axe. And she couldn't hit her in the head because you can't affect Tara Reid by going after her head. She hasn't had a brain there for years. That's mean for no reason. I'm sure she's a lovely individual that has no brain power. Moving on. Brenda is in the back, and then Paul says, I'm going to hit the brakes, and it hits the brakes, and she goes flying out the goddamn window into the river. And then it's floating, because we all float down here, Georgie. And then sometime later, they're at another college telling the story of this urban legend. It's a different university. And, well, here's how it happened. Here's how it happened. And then somebody said, no, I know how it really happened. And Brenda's there. How the fuck did... How the fuck did Brenda get... How? You know what? Eat shit, urban legend. Can't wait to review the sequel and the threequel. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.